Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Sharing the Truth with Matt. Today I'm talking and drinking with the Not Nots.
Oh, yeah.
Here he is. How are you, mate?
Yeah, I'm good, mate. I'll just turn you up and I probably should go and get myself a beer, hey?
I think so.
Can you give me one moment, please?
Yep. Cheers, mate.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. Thank you for taking up the challenge, being on the show. Appreciate it. Big
My
time.
pleasure. Thanks for asking.
No worries. So obviously I want to know, where did Not Nots come from?
We're based in Newcastle,
Oh, okay.
primarily Mayfield in Newcastle. The drummer and I both live in Mayfield. But interestingly, we all grew up within 2 kilometres of each other and have known each other since we were like teenagers. So, yeah, Newcastle is our home base.
So, like, yeah, you guys play with I Hate People and...
We haven't actually done a show with I Hate People, but I've known Craig since like literally teenagers once again, the early 20s, because we're all similar friend groups and everyone going to see bands. And a lot of the bands, he was in a band called 1 Minute Mile, that we played heaps of shows with in bands that I played in back in the day. So
excellent.
yes.
This is something that I ask everyone that I interview from Newcastle. The movie Black Rock.
Yeah.
Who was the band that played at the surf club the night of the party?
I'm not sure, but we played there the week before.
No one seems to know.
I was in Stockton that night, but I was at the other end of Stockton. I was at a mate's 21st, but the North Stockton Surf Club, which doesn't exist anymore, it fell into the sea through erosion.
Yeah.
There was lots of shows and we regularly played up there. And as I said, we were there the week before playing. So, but that night I was at a 21st at the other end of Stockton. So,
because the guy that played the father in the movie of Lele, Fields, I actually ran into him because he lives in Wollongong.
Okay.
I run into him and I always ask him, like, anyway, yeah. Who was the band that actually played in the movie that night?
I think the band in the movie was that the band from Canberra that did the song Titanic Days. I'm just thinking maybe it was, because that Titanic Days I think was loosely based around that.
Because I've asked a lot of people, and one band have said I can't believe it. Silverchair, and Silverchair like weren't even around when that murder happened. When that murder happened, they were never.
Ben Gillies was my neighbour. I sold him his first drum kit.
Wow. Yeah. Oh, right.
Wow. I can definitely tell you that no, they weren't in Stockton that night.
So you might have been an inspiration for that boy to play music.
They were really into it anyway. Him and Daniel were very close mates and had been for a long time. And they used to they were thick as thieves. And Chris, his parents owned the dry cleaner up on the corner from my mum's house. So Ben lived diagonally across the road and one door up. Then Chris's parents were the dry cleaners. Then probably half a kilometre away was Daniel's house. So they were always knocking around the area. Like you'd see them together all the time and you'd always see them. Like I was never mates with them, but I knew them, if you know what I mean.
Yep, definitely.
And they used to rehearse at Ben's. So you'd always hear them rehearsing, and it was literally the space of a month from you'd hear like Born to Be Wild and just them plodding through stuff to all of a sudden just, wow, they've actually become a band.
Yeah. Well, I was living in Surrey Hills and this graffiti started appearing everywhere. The red coats are coming. The red coats are coming. and that ended up being Silverchair. And anyway.
No, like everyone's got Silverchair stories. It's
exactly.
Yeah.
We're not here to talk about them. So, your influences, like,
many and varied. I mean, I was always into music as a kid myself personally. Are you talking me personally or the band?
You first, and then you can, if you have the knowledge, about
I was always into music, and then when you're sort of like 10, 11, you start to really find your own musical identity. And I was listening to The Police and Midnight Oil a lot, and then when I was in, I think, year 8 at school, so I was probably 12, maybe 13, a mate of mine gave me a cassette with Plastic Surgery Disasters by Dead Kennedys. And it was like that was everything I'd been waiting for in my life. It just had everything it just sent me on a completely different tangent. But because I'd been into a lot of different music before and been exposed to a lot of different music, as you get older, then you find you are not as biased by your, if you know what I mean. You sort of start re-listening to stuff that you thought wasn't cool because you started to get into punk music or whatever. Because you know what it's like as you become a teenager. You're searching for an identity. You're trying to be tough. You're trying to be, something that you're not really. And then by the time you're in your 20s and 30s, you realize you are who you are, and it doesn't matter what anyone else thinks.
Yeah. So as a kid, what was on the stereo at your house? What?
There was a lot of. I remember being really into ABBA, and ABBA was really big because I was about 5 when ABBA came out, and it was just I still like ABBA, and there's lots of people that go and there was AC/DC, and KC and the Sunshine Band, and the mum was into Status Quo and Cold Chisel and all sorts of stuff. So and I had a compilation. It was called Explosive Hits 1975, and it had a bit of everything, you know what I mean? But my favourite song was Baby Please Don't Go by AC/DC, but it was just really broad, and I've still got my original copy, which every now and then I pull out and have a listen to and just go, whoa. Yeah. So a lot of Mum was into Australian Crawl and a lot of those Australian bands. She would go and see them live and had seen them live. So there's a lot of that sort of Oz rock stuff on the stereo, which I still really quite like. And then once I found my own stuff, I was, DKs, B-52s, The Cure, The Exploited, GBH, like all the American stuff, the Angry Samoans and Circle Jerks, and then you just find so much. And we used to make tapes for each other because I grew up in a surfing community, and you would find everyone would be swapping tapes, and you'd get one from the guys up at Merriweather that were into punk, and oh wow, what's this band? And here's all of a sudden Minor Threat. You're just like, and Bad Brains, and it was a very nice, fertilized, cross-pollinated society that we were living in, because we were all, at that time, punk was quite marginalized, and you couldn't, you had to really search to find stuff, and you didn't have a photo of them. You couldn't see them on YouTube playing live. It was a completely different world, and it wasn't any worse or any better, but it was just very, everyone looked out for each other, if you know what I mean. Like, here's this tape, and then you would tape it for your mates, and it's just,
what you mean about that is, like, I remember when I was, as you were saying, like 12, 13 with the Dead Kennedys, I pictured him as some Glenn Danzig bloke, like fucking real.
Yeah.
And then and then it was like, what? This guy's smaller than me. Like,
well, it's really, really interesting for me, because I found a photo of him, and this is after about 2 years of listening to him, and I was just so pleased that they looked just like me.
The glass.
You know what I mean? they didn't have mohawks, they didn't have all the like stuff. They just looked like normal people. And even though I quite like the look of the mohawks and stuff like that, and I think it's a great identity, that just wasn't me. I wasn't interested in wearing a mohawk and leather and stuff like that. I was a surfer. I was
Yeah.
like and a skater and into all these other things. I was not interested in spending hours dressing up. I just wanted to have short hair and go, wear the band t-shirts and that sort of stuff. So it was great because I just felt that I resonated with their music, but I also resonated with the fact that they didn't give a shit about how they looked.
Yeah. No, it's great. Like the band, even like you've got the African guy on the drums.
Polygrow, yeah.
The
He's amazing, yes.
I was told not long ago that he's actually doing a lot of work with red wine.
UB40.
Yeah. Like he was actually in the studio with them, and I thought, well, wow,
Well, he's an amazing drummer, but he also had his own band. He had a couple of bands because he can play guitar and sing as well. Because he was in a band called I Spy, and he also had a band called the Jungle Studs, which is quite hilarious. I think maybe Flea out of the Red Hot Chili Peppers might have been in the Jungle Studs. I used to send away to Alternative Tentacles a lot to get records, and they sent me the Jungle Studs just as have a like. And so, I don't know where the record went, but it was like hilarious because I'm like, this is the drummer in the Dead Kennedys.
Yeah.
Like singing and playing. And then another mate, he came across I Spy. And I Spy, the song of I think it's Bedtime Democracy. That's one of Polygro's songs.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. So that he did that on his album. So
excellent.
Yeah.
With you guys, who's the main songwriter?
I am. I write all the songs.
Okay. So describe your kind of creative process that you have when writing songs for the Whatnots.
I find I've got two sort of two pathways. The main pathway is I sort of will be mucking around on the guitar, and I'll come because I just sort of will noodle around, and I'll come across something. I go, whoa! I just go, oh, I like that, and sort of very quickly the song falls together, and I might have had a little part somewhere else that I'd been playing months ago, and I go, that fits with that. And then all of a sudden I get one sort of melody line of lyrics and then the song's written itself.
Yeah.
Like it's like I don't write the song in some sort of weird way. It's like the song was already waiting there and it just happens super quick. And then I've got the other one where I will have a little idea and then I'll sort of sit on it and go, I don't know what I'm going to do with that. And sort of it's always ticking around, but it never sort of happens. And then one day that similar process sort of happens. Once the song goes, it's almost like it needs to be finished some way, then that happens. But I've got a couple sitting there at the moment where it's all there, but it's just sort of lacking something, and I'm sort of just got it to the side. And then when the right time comes around, I'll let it out of the bag to the other guys.
Well, as you brought him up, Flea, I saw an interview once where he was saying that he wrote this song and it was fucking brilliant. He loved it. And it was when they were doing Mother's Milk.
Yeah.
But it didn't fit in to that album. So he'd written this song, and then 25 years later, when they did, I think it was Kiss This Up. One of their late 90s albums, when that song finally had a place in their music style kind of thing, and which is what you're what you're saying about the process with your music.
More for me, it's sort of like I don't really mind what sort of style of song I write. I will push it pretty much into the not nots. It's just sometimes things aren't just finished enough, and you sort of go, I know there's something there, I just can't work out how to get it across. Whereas most of them, we've got sort of, we're a little bit more eclectic. We don't sort of fit into one sort of stream, but we're not like a jazz band or a rap band. So we're not, it's like we're still within a sort of quite a confined area, but we've got a few sort of things that don't sort of fit much with how, some of the songs. But
Yeah.
I like, because I would prefer to be a little bit eclectic, so it's not so boring.
Yeah. So what's happening with the Not Nots next? Well,
we've got some shows coming up, and interestingly, I had a phone call from our bass player last week. He's going to move along because he drives buses, and so he's working weekends, and he's going to go and do the ski season. So we've got a show in August with the Left Hards and White Knuckle Fever up here, and then. Yeah. And then we've got a couple of shows for Outer Space. The label Outer Space. They run out of Lincoln Pin. We're going to do a show there and a show in Newcastle. But interestingly, our original bass player, who is still one of our mates, I rang him last week and said, "Oh, look, we've got these couple of shows. And, would you like to do it?" Yep. So we've sort of come full circle. It's not like I'm not sort of saying he's rejoining the band, but he's just going to do a couple of shows for us because he's available, and he always sort of at some point he might come and do a show with us.
Like Kesh gets into the hard-ons now and then when he feels like it.
Yeah, well, I don't think Kesh will be playing with the hard-ons again. So
no. Which is unfortunate because I think he done it better than Tim, but we won't talk about that. The best piece of advice that you had as a young person wanting to be in a band was there any, or you just went your own way, did your own thing?
I don't really remember because I think as you are at that age, you tend to, people give you advice, but you tend to not take it on board. Yeah. I think I have a vague memory of people sort of saying, if you're doing it for the money, you're not, just make sure you do it for you and for the right reasons. And I think that's the one that's resonated the most. If I was in it for the money, I would have given up long time ago.
Well, most punk bands would.
There's no there's no money in it, so that's not the motivating factor really.
With punk, which I think is a lot different to other genres, you're in there because you love that scene, you love playing that music. You don't think of anything else that you would rather do.
Yeah.
And So, but do you have an escape plan if the Not Nots or any other band that you've ever played with? Do you have an escape plan if that doesn't work out for you?
No, not really. I don't. I sort of like. I just feel I'll probably keep doing it in one way, shape, or form because I've always, well, not always, but for the past sort of 15 years or so, I've always had more than one band going anyway, and I find it's not like I'm hedging my bets. I find I'm quite stimulated by the range of things that I do. So I'll continue to forge ahead either way, whether I'm playing guitar or playing drums, because I'm not I've only just started playing guitar, and this is the first band I've sung and playing guitar in. I normally would be playing drums in bands. So
That's crazy because I've since 83, 82, I've wanted to be in a band, and I'm one of those untalented people that I just can't, like.
I think, yeah.
And and you're playing, and you're a drummer, and I might just pick up the guitar, like that's got to say something, like.
I think everyone's. Sorry to talk over the top of you, but I've had this conversation with a few mates, and what I would sort of say is I think everyone's got the ability to do it. Not a massive mystery. Like, I mean, obviously there's going to be, like anything, some people are going to have more ability early on and more drive. But I think if you're interested in doing it, I would just say go for it, because that's what's held a lot of people back that I can see. And a lot of, like I've got mates that I grew up with that are now playing in bands that never thought they would play in bands. Just because they finally went, well, I want to do this. I'm going to make it happen one way or the other. So I think everyone's got the ability. It's just whether you want, like, whether you really can make that leap. And I think for myself, being a drummer, I always thought, oh wow, what would it be like to play guitar? And I always thought I wasn't good enough to play guitar. And once you sort of just start doing it, like, I'm not a particularly good guitarist, but I'm doing it. And, so it was just because I held myself back rather than nothing else. So I'm pleased that I finally said to myself, well, I'll just do this. And like, if it's crap, well, so what,
Yep, definitely. Have you ever played a gig where the punters have reacted badly, like you've got a bunch of cowpokes or something? Like, have you been on a bill that you shouldn't have really been on?
Yeah, heaps of gigs, like, just especially playing in Newcastle early on. There wasn't a, like, we just played all lots of places that'd just be like, like, it's just like crickets. You finish playing, it'd be crickets.
Yeah.
Lots and lots of shows. I can't really think of one off the top of my head. So many shows and people telling you to turn down, and what is this? And like,
yeah, of course.
It just became.
Now you go.
I said it just sort of became normal.
Yeah,
that reaction,
Yeah. Saying that, I remember seeing, oh God, late 80s. It was Fraser and Doberman and Motorhead, and there was 80% were people with flat tops and like. And this is at the Playroom. I don't know if you've ever heard of the venue on the Gold Coast.
Yeah, I know the one.
Well, because I lived in Palm Beach, that's where I grew up, and that's where the Playroom was. So, and Motorhead were playing.
Yeah.
And,
wow.
And there was like 20% of the punters were into that sort of music. So Lemmy got hit in the head with a beer bottle on the first song. Okay. If that happens again, we're going. And on the third song, it happened again, and they left. And I'm thinking, come on, guys, you're metal. You're like, fucking push the cunt away, fuck it off. But 3 songs, and that's all I got to see of. And I've never ever, well, obviously Lemmy now, but I've never ever got to see Motorhead play again after that. But like, you've got to have played at a venue where there's people that are totally not into your genre of music.
Oh, so many times. Like, as I said, Newcastle was was rife with it because it was just the scene that the stuff we were into was just not popular. So we ended up just doing a lot of our own shows and becoming mates with, people of similar ilks. And so then all of a sudden there was stuff happening that you'd still get people walking in. You could see them just going, what's going on here? Like, what have I walked into?
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
And we sort of, we always sort of shied away from the mainstream stuff anyway. Like, we were always finding the alternative venues to go and watch bands and of all sorts of bands. You'd see the Trilobites or the Hard-Ons, or you'd see what we basically just try and, if there was live music on, we'd go and see live music because we were sort of stuck.
Look, I got to the stage when COVID hit, that if there was going to be, I'd go see the Wiggles. If there was going to be a band playing, it's just to get that feel of entertainment.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what. A Boy George, fucking who cares,
Yeah, I can totally understand where you come from.
Yeah.
Because I don't get out much and see bands these days. Small kids working, and I'm immersed in music all the time because I'm either listening to music or I've got music in my head of songs that I've written. So quite often to sort of go, it's 9 o'clock. To go, like I'll go and see mates bands if I can, but I work a lot of weekends and Arvo shifts and dog watches and weird things. So it's almost like the planets have to align these days for me to be able to go and see things. And there's always stuff I want to see, but I'm like, it's difficult to align it.
Yeah. So mainly the bands you see are on the bill that you're on.
More often than not, yeah. I still do get out a little bit and see bands, but I just find it increasingly difficult to align. Like there's always something that I want to go and see, and then I'll look at the roster and I'll be working afternoon shift, or I've got to work at 7 o'clock the next day and it's busy, and I'm like, just if it's something that I really, really, really want to see, I'll make the effort. But more often than not, I sort of just wuss out, so to speak. But I still get out there occasionally. I still love it and I want to as much as possible, but it's increasingly difficult at the moment to get to the shows.
Yeah, definitely. Have you ever seen any of the interviews I've done at all?
I had a look at the Owen Guns one and a little bit of a look at the I Hate People one.
Yeah. Well, so you probably noticed that I'm very unprofessional. And
I don't mind it at all. Yeah.
Being unprofessional, I've got to pause and race off to the toilet, man, because I've got to.
Because I'll be doing that at some point too. Because
It's actually funny because you brought the leftards up before, and I've mentioned this a few times in my interviews. But I interviewed the leftards about a month ago. They're from Wollongong as well, where I am.
Yeah, Ronnie. Yeah, he's great. Yeah.
I did this toilet break, and Ronnie decided to get up towards the camera and do a brown eye. And they're all laughing there. Oh, he's not going to see this till he edits it. Blah blah blah. And he didn't know that I've got an editor producer sitting in the background recording all. And it was hilarious, mate. He went up and did this brown eye. Like, there were a bunch of interviewing them. It was like interviewing a bunch of kids. They were just like,
they're hilarious,
pinching each other and just like flicking each other's ears, and it was funny.
We've done quite a few shows together with the Leftards because an interesting aside, we used to do shows in another band I was in years ago in the Gong, and we do quite a lot of shows with a band called Fug that Ronnie was in. So I knew Ronnie from the 90s, and then he he's mates with another mate of mine from Newcastle, and I just happened to see a thread of them talking, and I've reached out to Ronnie and said, "Hey, how you doing?" And so we reconnected, and then he was playing in the Dark Clouds at the time, and so we did some shows with them. And then when the Left Hards came up, we did some shows with them, and then him and I, we ended up playing in a band together. So, which is, just a full circle, with him playing guitar and me playing drums. So, yeah. So.
I did not know he played in the Dark Clouds with Dean.
Yeah, he was the original bass player.
Wow, did not know that. That's interesting.
And so I knew Monster from back in those days too, because he played in a band called Mudlungs, and we did shows with them as well. So Terry, I've known Terry and Ronnie from around the same time. So it's good nice, because I always felt that Wollongong and Newcastle had a very similar feel about it, and a similar feel of how the bands worked and operated, and there was a bit of closeness there. Whereas,
So, bringing that up, what is your favourite venue that you like playing at?
At the moment, I really enjoy playing at the Mayfield Bowling Club. It's sort of like our home, like our little base, because we sort of set it up. Because one of my second cousin is on the board at the bowling club, and they wanted to do some stuff. And our bass player, Christian, the guy that's going to move on, he was an ex-sound guy. So I approached the board and said, "Look, I've got an idea for a show. I think the back room would be really good as a venue. We just need you to build a stage, and we'll bring a PA in." Well, Christian will bring the PA in, because he had a PA sitting in his home that he wanted to do something with, because he wanted to rent it out or get it used. So he installed the PA there. They built a stage. We put the first show on. It was the biggest show they'd ever had at the bowling club, the Mayfield Bowling Club. So we obviously have done a lot of shows there, and it's close to home, and it's a very great community of people that want music and are really pleased to have music there. And there's no wankery about it. So I love playing there. I used to love playing in town at a place called the Lasso Gowrie, which was quite well known. And I played there from the early 90s, and I haven't played there for the past couple of years, but I knew the owners, and it was just a really nice homegrown pub. And so they're sort of a couple of them. The Stag's really nice to play at. The Cambridge is great to play at. And we played upstairs at the Gallipoli Legion the other week, and it's great. It's got a nice feel about it. There's lots of great little venues and bigger venues in Newcastle. So but definitely the Mayfield Bowling Club and the Lasso Gowrie are two that I really love. The Stag, I live on the same street as the Stag. So it's over the hill for me to get to the Stag. So it's a great room.
You can get close to home stumbling.
Yeah, you just got to make it up the hill, and it's easy. Really easy. Yeah. So pretty blessed to have a lot of good venues in Newcastle, and a really strong scene. Lots of great bands, and lots of really great up and coming bands in Newcastle as well. It's always one of those ones. I think it's always been as strong as Sydney and Melbourne, but because we don't have that media focus, it gets a little bit bypassed. In the age of the internet, it's not as prevalent now. But just so many great bands that just go completely unnoticed by the masses that should probably notice. But that's could be said for any city or across the world, really.
Yeah, definitely. Can you hear that?
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's your seat.
They're my guinea pigs wanting to be fed.
Oh, really? Well, you can feed them if you want. That'd be make some great viewing.
So they're going to shut up now, little shits. I've got 8 kids, so I've got a lot of animals. Yeah. So yeah, getting on to that, what's the worst venue? Do you ever like get a message saying, yeah, you guys are on this bill, and it's a venue that you go, nah, I just don't want to go there. Please don't.
I think no, probably no, not now because we do so few shows because everyone's busy and we're like older. We sort of pick and choose, and quite often we will facilitate the shows that we play. We don't often get asked to do a lot of shows, so we sort of facilitate our own one.
Yeah.
So there's not that. Back in the day, I'm just trying to think. Probably even then, like I would have done it, you know, a gig in a dunny if someone had have asked us to do it.
Yeah.
And we've played at some
would have seen a gig in the dunny. I would have gone to a gig in the dunny back in the day.
Yeah, same. And like, I mean, that was if there was a gig, we'd play it. You know, didn't matter where it was.
Yeah. Well, you brought up the internet, and how is the internet how do you feel the internet has affected the scene, the music scene?
I think two things. One, people don't need to go if they don't want to, but their access to music. I mean, I quite often will sort of have a couple of beers at home with the family, and then when they go to bed, I will sit and troll through YouTube and look at bands that I like. And I don't go to their film clips. I go to their live clips.
Yeah.
And there's so much up there. And you discover a new band, and all of a sudden you're going, oh, wow. And then you'll find something amazing that they've done live. And all of a sudden you're sharing it with your friends and going back to it and then going, oh, wow. Like KXCP, I think the radio station in America, I'm not sure, that they do so many amazing live broadcasts. It's like a Triple J type thing, but they film it and they do a whole set, and just the Tiny Desk concert series and those sort of things that you just find so many good bands, and they're recorded excellently with great vision and great sound quality. You can sit there and then you've got the taskbar that comes up on the side and goes, oh, because you like that, have a look at that. And then you're just constantly looking at new music and stuff that you like. And exactly. I think the internet, I don't think, is the enemy of music. It might be that it might subvert some people going out, but then you've got your live streams. So even if someone can't make it out, they might go and look at the live stream. So yeah, it's a bummer to play to no people, but I'm used to playing to no people, so it's not a
bringing up that KX, I can't think of the actual radio station, but bringing up them, they during the world's lockdown, when the whole world was in lockdown, they did a concert. They filmed a concert of the Dropkick Murphys, which Dropkick Murphys played on a stage in front of no one. And it was like for punters to watch a live band show. That they couldn't get to. You know what I'm saying? And that's what happened.
I tuned into. Did you see the rap artist Post Malone did a set of Nirvana covers? So he got Travis Barker out of Blink-182 to play drums. He's in one room, and he's got this Brian, I can't think of his name, who's an amazing bass player, another guitarist, and they're all in different rooms, and they're just banging through all these Nirvana covers, and it was just amazing because it had energy. They obviously liked what they were playing. They're in different rooms, and it was on like a Saturday night or a Friday night or something. I'm sitting at home just going, Thank you. Thank you for like something like, because, just anything.
Mm.
And for me, it was like an eye opener because I always just thought Post Malone was just this like sport rap guy. And then once I sort of looked at all the stuff that he's doing, like I'm not a fan of him, but he's actually really talented. I would believe, because I saw him get up with this guy called this bluegrass artist called Billy Strings, who's quite big in the States at the moment. And he's doing this bluegrass stuff, but he's talking about, like how his experience rather than, if something's happened on the ranch or, the cows are in the, And so he's playing this concert, and buddy Post Malone gets up and does the Cocaine Blues, playing guitar and singing with this guy, Billy Strings, who's like an amazing guitarist with his bluegrass band. And you just go, fuck, this guy is actually a musician. What he's popular for and he's really well known for is that sort of rap stuff, but he's not just sitting on his laurels, and it's like any good artist, whether you like them or love them, will continue to just grow and subvert their boundaries. Yeah. So I know there'd be a lot of people out there would go, oh, fuck him, he's just a rapper. He's a shit rapper. I'll go, well, that's all. That's a valid argument, but you've got to look beyond that as well.
No, you can say the same thing about Machine Gun Kelly. Like, I don't know if you've ever listened.
I know, yeah.
And his drummer is Travis Barker.
That's right, yeah.
And like,
he's the drummer for everyone,
Mate, and like I don't really like much of MGK's rap stuff. Like I've got into one of his rap songs that I've really enjoyed, but his punk stuff, which a kind of a Blink 182 kind of pop punk sort of stuff.
Yep.
Like, the same thing. I've really whoa, Machine Gun Kelly. Have you seen the movie Dirt about
yes, he's the drummer. He's the drummer in Motley Crue. Yeah. That's him. He's an actor. Yeah. He goes under his real name when he's an actor.
Yes, which is Kelly or Kel. Anyway, it doesn't matter what his real name is.
Colton something, I think it is.
Yeah.
I think that's really interesting, because what's a really interesting point I could make about what you're saying is, for a lot of people, can really put shit on him, and that's fair enough. Everyone's got a valid argument, but I remember what it was like to never hear any punk on the radio. And then all of a sudden people were complaining because the Offspring were on the radio and stuff like that. And I'm like, so what? For so many years, you never heard anything like that on the radio. And if Green Day's on the radio or Nirvana's on the radio, so what? Go and listen to the stuff you like, but be glad that fucking they're not playing like the rubbish that was normally on the radio, in my opinion, because there's a lot of rubbish,
Totally agree. Are you there?
Yeah. I'm there. I've seen. I might turn the light on. That might be why it's dropped out. But I'm definitely still here. I can hear you. I can just see. I can't see myself, which I don't mind as much. I'm more than happy not to see myself. Sorry, Matt?
I was just asking my producer if he can do something. Can you do anything about this, Jeff?
There's nothing I can do.
Yeah, we just we haven't got you, Anthony.
Yeah, I can see my name there.
Yeah. Yeah, I've got Anthony Dean, but I just haven't got your picture. That's me.
Yeah. I can see the recording. I can see everything.
Yep.
Do you want me to hit start video?
Yeah, try that again.
Yep,
we got you back.
Okay, here we go. We're on again.
Technology,
No worries, man.
technology.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So, like, I've listened to your sound. What are the not nots? What are they all about? What are you guys? What?
We're just well, Blake and I, as I said, we've been friends for a long time. We were both drummers in bands that played together, and we just got to know each other and became mates. And so, like most people, you sort of drift apart because everyone's living and having kids and stuff. And then we just kept running into each other, and then like he would come over and have a beer, and then his wife and my wife found out they got along, so they would sort of come over and we'd sort of have a drink together and hang out. And then just one day we were talking about just, I don't know, whatever, and I just said, oh, I've got a few songs, and we'll just have a jam. So him and I just started jamming on some of my songs, just with me on guitar and him on drums. And we went, oh wow, this is nice, like mates playing, having a couple of beers. We'd talk about music, and and then we did that for a while, and then we sort of went, oh yeah, there's something happening here because we've got similar musical tastes and styles. So then we obviously needed a bass player, so we reached out to my mate Dom, that I've known since he was a kid and have played in bands with as well. And yeah, he was into it. So we just started doing it. And it was just basically, we've got sort of this, we've got a bit of rock and roll, we've got a bit of punk about us, we've got a bit of sort of post-punk. I wouldn't say we were hardcore. Like, I don't really call ourselves a punk band. We're a sort of rock and roll band with a punk edge, so to speak, because the only reason I say is because I just don't feel like we're hard enough to be considered a punk band, if you know what I mean. So I think it would be disingenuous to sort of sell yourself as a punk band and have people come along and go, you're just a fucking rock and roll band. Like,
I'll say, if I was going to download one of your songs onto a site, it would only be a punk site that I'd download you guys onto. Like, I wouldn't put you on any other site. Like, I think you've got that, and maybe you don't mean to have that sound, but you guys are punk all through and through. To what I've heard, like, you know what I mean? I've never seen any performances of you, but like, you guys have got that sound that just makes it punk.
Well, I'd sort of always categorize it as sort of indie punk, sort of that sort of indie sound with a punk sort of sound. And without, it's sort of horrible to have to categorize yourself. But as I said, I tend not to, like, I've got lots of mates that play in what I would call punk bands. So I sort of don't, it's not, it's a weird thing to sort of like, yes, definitely there's punk edges there. So that's why I resonate with that. But at the same time, I wouldn't say we're a straight punk band. So I try not to be disingenuous in that way. So
yeah, I understand that, but I've always put the Angels and the Divinals in the punk category. You know what I'm saying? Like,
especially a lot of their early stuff. Yeah,
definitely. Like, I remember seeing at the Playroom on the Gold Coast, I remember seeing the Divinals, and the mosh pit was insane. And like, she was going off, the band were going off, and I think you've heard the Owen Guns, as the Owen Guns say, is this punk, is that punk? The movie Idiot Box, how he says a poem's a poem if he says it's a poem. Like, it could
fair enough. Yep.
I'm a fuckwit, I'm an idiot, and call that a poem, and that's a poem. If you play punk music that you feel is punk and you call yourself a punk band, you're punk.
Yeah. Well, I think, we have a few I'm thinking about the lyrical content. Can you give me one second? What do you need, mate? No, it's all right. You can come through. This is my son Samuel. We're doing this in his room because that's where the computer is, and so
Yeah.
he knows what's going on. Look at him. He's sneaking in.
No,
He's a good kid. He's a really good kid. I heard the door open.
I usually have my kids here. Sometimes it happens that when I'm doing an interview, I've got my kids here and I've got my 10-year-old going, want to go motorbike riding? Want to go motorbike riding? And I say, look, I've got about 20 minutes to go, blah, blah, blah. Like, I think, and it's so great. Like, have you heard of the Radio Rejects?
Yeah.
Like,
yeah. I haven't seen them yet, but I don't understand. They're great. Yeah.
They play live and some of their songs, they get their kids up to do backing vocals. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, that's awesome. The last show we did, I got my two sons to get up and introduce us.
Excellent.
Yeah, and so like 8 and 5, and they're like standing there with their earmuffs on, like, hello, the Nutnuts are going to play soon. It's cute because they just see it as completely normal. What? Oh, Dad plays in a band. Dad surfs. Dad goes to work. Oh yeah, like it's just there's no like it's just there's no mystery about it. It's just that's what Dad does. Yeah.
Well, that's usually one of the questions that I ask. Would you let your children listen to your music? So obviously, yes, you would. And
well, interestingly, some of the songs I don't know if you have heard the song off our EP that we put out through Outer Space, the song Default.
Yes, that's the song I heard. Yeah.
Well, when I was writing that song, in this room, standing here, like see how I'm like looking that way, my son bouncing up and down on the bed, me playing it and singing it. And I'm going, do you think this is good? And he's like, yes. I'm like, okay. At that time he was about 4 years old, I was like, okay, he's going to give me a completely honest appraisal. And he was just going, default. I'm like, okay, yep, no, I think I already thought it was going to work, but that was just nice that it, I was like, yeah, okay, but this is on, and I would quite often play music to them as I'm writing a song, and I'll see them like, they're sort of a little bit of a yardstick for me. So
yeah. Well, out of my 8 kids, my 13-year-old, I think, is the one that actually will listen to, like, one of her favourite songs. Well, she's got 2 favourite songs that I play, and one of them is Dropkick Murphys. Shipping Off to Boston. She fucking loves that song, man. And the other one is The Angels, Am I Ever Gonna See Your Face Again? And yes, she
does. Sings the backup.
And I'm more in awe that I don't go, don't you say that word. Like, I'm just her saying it.
Song.
Like, oh, I fucking love it. It's great. But have you noticed that, like, because I got into the punk scene about 82, 83, and my wife and I got together 20 something years ago, and like we've got 8 kids, and the 2000s, from the 99 to in the 2000s, I never went and saw bands. Like, I was doing the family thing. We had the 8 kids, being a father, being that, and then getting back into the live scene, and I went and saw the Young Guns, which, well, actually Hoodoo Gurus was the first band I seen in years, and that was at a benefit gig. But I went and saw the Young Guns at a gig in Wollongong, and everyone were my age, in their 50s, down watching. I'm going, where's the mosh pit? Like, what the happened? And all the bands, like, I've interviewed about 30 bands now, and majority have been in their 50s. And like it's fucking. Every band is either they're in their 50s, but they've got a 20-year-old or something like on drums or something. You know what I mean? And I just thought, like, punk is just, it's stuck. It has stuck. It's still going. It's like a freight train, but the people my age are still doing it. They're still fucking in there. And I think, like, why? Why?
Well, I think it's a passionate music that resonates when you know, like especially if you get into it when you know, for me, I think I was 13 when I got first exposed to it, and it was just that was amazing. Like I just was completely in love, and then I was always looking for that because you know, to me, Plastic Surgery Disasters is always the pinnacle of. Not that there aren't other things that are just as comparable, but that was always the sort of my yardstick for like, for example, we listened to Plastic Surgery Disasters, and I was like, "That's amazing! I've got to go and buy it on record." So I'm with my mate, we can't find it, and he goes, "Oh, you should buy this Exploited album, Troops of Tomorrow."
Oh,
I'm like,
great.
"Right, yeah." So we get it home, I'm listening to it, I'm going, "This is great, but it's not as good as that." And he's like, "Yeah, but it's still good." I'm like, "Yeah, but you know, like, still loving it." A week later, I swapped it for Plastic Surgery Disasters. Then I had to go back and buy it again, but I just needed to have the vinyl of Plastic Surgery Disasters because it was that. I just listened to it over and over and over and over again, and in amongst all the, and you know, at that time, it was harder to find records. Like eventually, you worked out that if you sent overseas, the records you want. And I was getting like Dead Kennedys releases weeks before, like months before they would turn up in Newcastle.
Yeah.
Because I was getting them straight from Alternative Tentacles, you know, and I was sending to other places and you were just getting things. And every now and then they just slip like, "Oh, you've spent $50, you know, like, here, have a single of this." And you go, "Wow, what?" Like, or, you know, a sticker of something, or like a t-shirt, or just something extra that they have that they just chuck in, and you, boom, worldwide open, you know?
Yeah, definitely. We had a place in Sydney, record shop called Half a Cow.
I remember that.
Yeah, they do the same thing. Like, because I was working as a chef, and every payday I'd go to Half a Cow, and I'd like a quarter of my pay just on nursery crimes or Cosmic Psychos or like all that sort of shit. And then the guy behind the counter would go, "Mate, listen to this band."
Yeah.
And that was in the Bad Brains and bands like, man, it was like, my God, you know, fuck.
It's like ground zero when you hear bands like that. Like have you ever heard of a band called the Zero Boys?
No.
I would really recommend have a listen to them because they're just like one of these unknown punk bands. But every time I play it to someone, they just go, "What the fuck is this?" And it's just so good, like really catchy, really. So I think they were like,
they're not Australian,
but I can't. No, they were American,
yeah.
And they were like Middle America, and because they were Middle America, they just sort of dropped, like, they're known amongst my group of mates because we all share, like, but you know, once again, one of those mixtapes, bang, there was a couple of songs and I was just like, "Who's these guys?" Okay, so I found, you know, like, bang, bang, okay. Then you look into it, oh, amazing, like absolutely amazing.
Yeah.
And yeah, they've got an album called Vicious Circle that's, I would highly recommend having a listen to if you like punk music.
Oh, for sure. I'm going to give it a listen to after the interview, 100%.
Yeah.
Sorry, my phone's just playing. I've lost everybody. I can't even see myself.
I can see you sharing a drink with Matt Sign. I can see myself. I'd be happier to see you and not myself.
I don't even know what the fuck's going on right now. I think I'm going to
do what we do. do what we did before and
I'll do it.
refresh your.
I think it's my fuck up. So yeah, this is what happens when you do this technical stuff. Now I'm completely lost now. Like
I can still hear you, which is an advantage.
yeah.
Maybe do the
I can't even
maybe
get
try
on.
the stop video start and then start it again.
Yeah,
that's what I had to do.
How about that?
Hey, we're fumbling through it. That's great.
Yeah. I'll tell you what, mate, if it wasn't for my editor producer, I would because when the lockdown first happened, when COVID first happened, I'm in the Australian punk scene site, and I got bored and I thought I might just start a show where I interview Australian punk bands. And I didn't know what I was getting myself into. And I did interviews and all it was just this interview. And a good friend of mine that I met on the internet, he goes, well, give me the interview and I'll do the interviews, I'll record it, I'll edit it, and I'll put it out. And he's done brilliant. He's brilliant. Like that. I don't know if you've seen any of my interviews, but
yeah, I had a look at it.
Yeah, he makes a brilliant little package. It's I'm stoked with that. Okay, when you're playing a gig, before the gig, do you have a process that you go through to rev yourself up? Like how Henry Rollins sits stage left and
I've seen him do that. When he did his first ever tour of Australia, did you ever go so he played at the what's it called? It's one of the venues in Sydney. I'm just trying to think of what it was called. And Kim Salmon was playing. So he was the support act. And there's Rollins in the crowd, like stretching and like in his, like doing all these things. Like he's in the crowd, like, and we're all looking at him just going, what the fuck is going on? What was it? Sorry? No. Something very formal named. I don't even think it exists anymore.
Probably.
But yeah, we're just like amazed at him just like doing all these stretches and whilst Kim Salmon's playing, it's quite intimidating in some ways, but quite awesome as well. Like you just go, what the fuck's this guy doing? Like I just never seen anything like it, I actually had the pleasure of the Biafra and the Guantanamo School of Medicine played at the Cambridge, and one of my good mates had put the show on, and he knew what a massive Biafra fan I was, and he was like, "Do you want to come backstage?" And I'm like, I've had a few beers. Fuck, if I hadn't known this was going to happen, I would have anyway. So I've met Biafra and I felt like I was a goose, because he's such look, man, I just want to say, you meant what you've done has meant a lot to me as a person, and it's really inspired me. And he's like, yeah, that's cool, yeah, that's good. He goes, now can you guys just move away for a second? And we went, oh yeah. And there's this at the Cambridge, there's a back entrance that leads up to load in to the front, and he just did these little jog up to the door and back and up to the door and back and up to the door and back, and just got himself ready. And then the band's on and I'm standing looking out at the crowd who are going, wow. And I'm looking at Biafra, who's getting his shirt, and he's made up this thing of blood, and he's just spattering it onto his shirt. So I'm watching him, the crowd's going wild, like, and I'm just in the middle, like looking at this, just going, this is fucking amazing. Watching someone that's been very inspiring to me, like watching his process of getting ready. Now, back to your question, for me, like I don't do too much. I just think about it a little bit during the week, as in I've got this thing to do. You know, I'm not a particularly good guitarist. I'm not a particularly good singer, but I'm just going to try and do it the best I can. And then on the day, I just try and either have a surf so I don't think about anything for a couple of hours, and just sort of try and meet my day that I'm not running around stressing out too much, because I know that once I get to the show, things happen so quickly. So I'll just try and take a little bit of time out in the day of just going, hey, don't worry. If you fuck up, it's not the end of the world. You haven't, killed anyone. You're going to be bummed if you fuck up, but don't, like it's not the end of the world.
Yeah, but with punk, if you fuck up, the punters go, they don't even really realize, because it's punk. Like you can miss a few chords, or you can do something, and the crowd just going to even notice. They're just like, mad. That was mad. Like,
yeah. Well, that's what I'm saying. I'm basically I try and just say to myself, just look, don't worry, be kind to yourself. Don't get out. Don't get too precious about anything, because it's just meant to be an enjoyable experience for everyone.
Yeah, definitely. If you were given the chance to do a song, an album, or something with someone, who would you like to collaborate with?
I reckon, obviously Biafra would be one, but there's a guy out of a band called Future of the Left, he was in there's a Welsh band called McCluskey that became Future of the Left. A guy called Andy Falkus, and he's just his ability to turn a phrase and write amazing songs. I'd really like to collaborate with someone like that, just to try and because I'm always in awe of the stuff he does, and he's such a amazing sense of humor too. Like he can really, it's very self-deprecating, but he can really turn, he's just quite hilarious, and the music's really powerful, and the songs can start one way but they finish completely differently. Like they really meander, and I'd love to collaborate with someone like him. And I mean I'd love to get a female vocalist in, and can't really, there's a couple of girls around Newcastle that are amazing that I'd probably want to get in. The guy that records all of our stuff, Pana, who's a really good mate of mine, we have this we have this arrangement where it's all recorded through barter system. So the EP that you've listened to was done primarily through barter system. So I will record drum tracks for him, for either he's got clients that work in his studio or his stuff. And then we do X amount of stuff, and then he records a song for us. So we just have this backwards and forwards sort of, and it's really, really sort of nice, and it feels good that his wife did backup vocals on the second song on our EP, the song called Small Children Are the Apocalypse. So she's got the sweet voice there. So that was nice to collaborate. And as an interesting aside, on default, if in that the default, you can hear everyone it's got Adam out of the Space Buzzies.
Yeah.
It's got Sean out of the Owen Guns. It's got Millie from Outer Space. It's got a heap of my mates. It's got my wife. Ronnie from the Left Hards is in the chorus. So in that bit, we've just got all these amazing, but there's about 14 people. What would happen we went out one night with my mate Parna, who's an amazing musician in his own right, and it was a restaurant that was like literally about 3 doors down from his house. So there was him and his wife and myself and my wife and one of my best mates, and his wife, and we went back to their house to just have a couple of drinks. And I said, hey, can we pull up the recording and get all these? Like, yep, no worries. So he set a microphone up and we recorded everyone just yelling default, like after we'd been out for a night out. So yeah, there's probably 13 or 14 people on there. A mate of ours called Graham Steele and his daughter were on there. They happened to turn up. But do you know Graham?
Yeah, he's been popped up a few times in the interviews I've done. Yeah. He's always at the gigs and he always films them and stuff like that. Well, he's on there as well. So there's just as I said, there's like 13 or 14 people on there that are, in the background that most people don't know. We've put them down as the Havelock Street Choir. Yeah. Because that's the street Mate's studio's in. But so yeah, I'm not sure. Oh yeah, so you were asking who I'd like to collaborate with. Yeah, there's heaps of people. Yeah, definitely.
Just heaps of people.
You keep bringing Ronnie up. Like, this guy is the funniest man.
He's hilarious.
He's got, I don't know if you know, his business is he's a key cutter, shoe fitter thing.
Yes. Yep.
And that's when I first met him. And then I put out this thing, I'm looking for bands to interview, and he said, yeah, right, blah, blah, blah. And then he says, oh, come to here and I'll chuck you a shirt. And I said, oh, my God, I've been talking to you for the last 10 years. Like, my kids walk up there and go, yeah, can I have a key? And he'll give them a coloured key or something. And it ended up being Ronnie. And I don't know, did I tell you his brown eye situation?
Yeah, that's hilarious. That sounds like Ronnie to me.
Oh, mate.
He's a funny man.
That punk. He's just got it's fun. It's fun to him, which it should be, of course, to every band. If it stops being fun, finish. But the left half is just fun. I just they're a hilarious bunch of guys. Yeah.
Yeah. I love the Left Hards. Yeah, as I said, they've done quite a few shows up here with us, and obviously now that they've got Noro in the band,
the young.
No, they've got Noro playing drums. So the guy that sings in the VBs is now the drummer, which is interesting because the other band that's playing is White Knuckle Fever, and that's his partner Celia is the singer in White Knuckle Fever. So, and they came up here and played recently and just wowed the bolo. Like, it was amazing. So yeah, that's going to be a great show.
Yeah, definitely. That's what I've noticed about the Australian punk scene now. It's so ancestral. Like, you've got you're just like swapping, jumping around, doing things like that. If you got the chance to put together a 5-band gig, who would those bands be? And you can put yourself on the bill if you want. They don't have to be living, so you can have Henry on there.
Yep, I'd say 1982 Dead Kennedys, the just as they've recorded Plastic Surgery Disasters would be there. Now, who else would I want to? Probably Future of the Left. I'd like to see them again. I'd love to see PJ Harvey, like Rid of Me, dry Rid of Me era. Bob Marley for sure. Bob Marley, that would just be like, you look at some of the, we talked about the YouTube stuff before, like you go through and you find some of those like concerts that he's done. They're just absolutely amazing. So that's 4. gosh, there's just so many. Oh, I reckon there's an old, this is a bit wanky, but there's an old jazz or like a jump jive musician called Louis Jordan, um, who did like, and he's either him or Louis Prima. They were around at the same time. Just because it's this jump jive, yeah, like swing sort of, and they always had amazing bands and just amazing music. But probably Louis Jordan, just because for me, going to a show, I wouldn't put five of the same bands on. So I've tried to think about like what I would like as a punter. I wouldn't want to just go and see five hardcore bands, even though I love hardcore. I wouldn't want to go and see five rap bands, even though I like rap. You know, I wouldn't want to go and see five reggae bands because I'd get bored, you know. So for me, you know, that diversity in a bill is really, to me, like, yeah. So yeah, Louis Jordan would be awesome.
Yeah.
So Dead Kennedys, Future to the Left, PJ Harvey, Bob Marley, and Louis Jordan.
Yeah.
I'd say quite a few people would walk out in certain things.
Well, yeah, and that happens a lot. But you know, people have got to get through that phase and go, well, I'll give them 3 or 4 songs, and if I don't like them, then you know, I'll leave. And usually, like, you end up on the second or third song going, wow. You know, like I went
too with some bands. Sorry?
No, I went and saw a festival, God, 86, 87, even 90 it might have been, Alternative Nation. And
I remember that one.
Lou Reed, Red Hot Chili Peppers, Faith No More, L7, Jello Biafra, Henry Rollins.
I think Wayne was on it.
Yep. And it was like, my God, you know, it was, and then and like Jello Biafra, it was only spoken word, and Henry Rollins, he did the spoken word as well as the Rollins band, and Ice-T did a spoken word as well as Body Count. It was a fucking amazing weekend. And why were we talking? I just lost the question that I see.
Talking about diversity.
Yeah.
We're talking about a diverse lineup to, you know, and people sometimes walking away because it doesn't fit with what they're used to, you know.
And that's what this was good about this festival, because you had 3 stages and a spoken word stage that you could go to at the same time. If you didn't like the band on this stage, you didn't have to stand there and watch it like the Big Day Out. You didn't have to stand while you waited for the band to go on the other side. It was just like it was everything.
Yeah.
You know?
It's nice to have that.
What's the best?
Pardon, Matt?
Sorry, what's the best advice you've had given to you as a musician?
Yeah, I think we spoke about this before. I think I probably had a lot of advice that I didn't take on board because I was so young and headstrong. But I think I do feel there's a pervading sense of, if you're not doing it, like, don't do it for the music, the money. Do it for the music, because it's and I mean, I think punters generally are pretty smart, and they can sense people that are doing it for all the wrong reasons. En masse, you know. Sure, they get marketed, some bands get marketed up, but when it comes across live, you know, you can definitely tell the passion in a band. You know, a band that loves their own songs and a band that loves performing live. It's you can smell it a mile away, you know. When a band's just going through the motions, even if it's songs you like, you're sort of left feeling like it's like eating McDonald's. You think it's a good idea at the time, but you know, there's no real substance to it. So
Yeah, no, sorry, I had to ask you that again. It was just I felt that I interrupted you when you were in the middle of answering that question the first time, and
That's
I
okay,
had
Matt. It's not a
more to say, and yeah,
Yeah, no, that's pretty much it. Because as I said, you know, as a kid, I probably got lots of great advice, and I don't remember any of it. As what happens at that age, you know.
yeah.
Um, you know.
So what if someone came up to you and said, "Look, mate, I'm starting a band," or what advice would you give them? What is it the same advice that you were given, or have you got
Yeah,
something?
I'd just say to them, like, if if you're expecting to make a living out of this, you're either going to have to do it 100%,
Yeah,
and devote your life to it, which is
Sharing some laughs over the past and finding out what's new. Yes, if I could, I would keep hanging out with you.